Make money while you sleep is the goal.
Start as soon as possible. So we got fix and flips, long-term holds, even like short-term rentals.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
another option.
Airbnb, Verbo.
Wholesaling, another option. 5 minutes made $10,000. Crazy, right? Real
Teach you
estate
how we
101.
started. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
nice and easy. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. If you guys are looking to ignite your real estate investing, then join us on Investors Unite. I'm your host, Skyler along with my co-host,
Madison Noonamaker.
Madison Noonamaker. On today's episode, we're going to be going over just the basics, right? So
Back to the basics.
back to the basics. I know a lot of our previous episodes, we really dove deep into some of the niches or different concepts of investing and using some bigger terminology that I'm sure a lot of our audience probably had no idea what the hell we were even talking about. But it's nice to kind of just bring it back, just
to the beginning.
real
Teach
estate
you how
101.
we started. Yeah, exactly.
Nice and easy. So we both have our own experiences in getting started and how we did it, and it's completely different from each other. So we're going to go through, kind of lay out, why real estate investing, the different types of investing that you can do, and then how we both did it and what we would recommend for your current situation.
Yep.
Right. So without further ado, what is investing as a whole, right?
Investing as a whole, I mean, real estate specific or just
like any type of investing.
Making your money work for you is how I would put it.
No, I completely agree. So there's so many different asset classes that you can invest in, right? Whether it's stocks, crypto, real estate.
Make money while you sleep is the goal.
Boring businesses, right? Like so many different options. So obviously, Madison and myself, we both decided to go down the real estate path, which I think, this might be a little bit biased, but I think is easily the best. Right?
Yeah. Safest. One of the safest. Yeah. That and boring businesses, I feel like, are the two.
That's probably something that we'll venture into eventually. For sure.
One day.
Yeah. So investing as a whole, though, is definitely something that you need to get started at an early age, right? And if you are older, it's better late than never.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. Better late than never. So start as soon as possible. And even if you don't want to do real estate investing, right, which I'm sure anyone who clicked on this video is probably going to want to do it, but at least start somewhere, whether it's a Roth IRA or just simple index fund, something, right? Set yourself up for the future. So let's go over kind of like what are the different forms of real estate investing?
I mean, my personal favorite is buy and hold. So it's the long-term game. I think that would be your favorite as well. Yeah. And then, of course, you have flips.
Yep. So we got fix and flips, long-term holds, even like short-term rentals.
Yeah. Yeah. Airbnb,
option.
Verbo.
Wholesaling, another option.
I get private money. Would that be a...
Nah.
No?
That's capital.
Okay.
Something different. But yeah, so how did you get started?
My first deal was seller finance. I came into the deal with a decent, for an 18-year-old, it was a decent amount of money. It was like my life savings, 20 grand.
Yeah.
And I was cold calling. I think I've told this story before, but cold calling older landlords over 80, just going through the list. And I got lucky. It was like day one of cold calling. Talked to this guy. He was like, yeah, I have 30 properties I want to unload. And I pitched seller financing to him, and he was like, yeah. I'll do that. Come check it out. Write me an offer.
There you go.
So next day I went over there, wrote him an offer for $155, and he was like, yeah, I'll sell it to you. Let's close in 2 weeks. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
okay. I was like, oh my gosh. Then I went home and told my parents. They were like, you did what? And I was like, yeah, buying a
all
house.
your money gone.
Yeah. But that's definitely my best cash flowing property. So
there you go. That's definitely a bold way to get started in real estate investing, especially at 18 years old.
Life savings.
I'm saying a lot of people don't have that kind of money just saved up to get started.
Yeah.
But if you are kind of in the same situation as where she was financially, and your long-term strategy is to hold these properties, give it a shot.
Right? And I built up that capital by selling properties. So that was the commission I made from that year.
Being an agent.
So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So my first form of investing in real estate was through wholesaling, which some will argue is not a form of investing. I'm going to count it just because it's the first deal I ever did, right? And I made money off of it, and it had to do with houses and contracts. So
there you go.
Something to do with investing.
It's not exactly investing, but...
Right. I was more so investing my time in the beginning in order to
trading your time for
generate
money.
This lead.
Yeah.
Right, to eventually
similar to me being an agent and selling houses.
Exactly.
So,
right. Yeah. So same idea. And eventually took that capital and repeated that process multiple times to eventually start buying my buy and hold properties and doing some fix and flips here and there as well. Right. So, but yeah, initially wholesaling was the easiest way for me to get in. Just I'm sure you guys have all heard wholesaling, like it costs $0 to get started.
Yeah.
And there are certain ways to make it very cost effective or cost efficient, right? Where you can drive for dollars. All you need is a car and some gas. So gas, hopefully not too much money.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is.
That or like a 3-line dialer. Sit
Or
there and make calls. It's pretty cheap.
right. So you said
Yeah.
cold calling. What
Yeah.
is cold calling?
Pulling a list. Like I said, I did the over 80 property owners that don't actually like live in the property as their primary. And I pulled that list for I think Cumberland and Dauphin County and just
Yeah.
started calling them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know, especially if you're a beginner, cold calling is not the most comfortable thing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
It's scary.
You have to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. Just give it a
Hmm.
shot. Um, your pitches are not going to be perfect in the beginning. Maddie probably already had some experiences just from being an agent. Sure, she's done that plenty of times without having the idea of actually buying any of these properties.
Yeah.
So you have some experience, but definitely as a beginner, it's going to take time, and you're going to have to just do the repetitions to eventually you build up the skills necessary to
Yeah.
eventually, set an appointment and hopefully negotiate a deal.
I would say just start by like Googling or using ChatGPT to put together a script, practice a few times, and then go for it.
Yeah.
I feel like taking action and like actually being on the phone is going to teach you a lot more than practicing and getting in your head over and over about it.
It's so true.
So,
And even like something I used to do in the very beginning when I was like 16 or 17. I used
oh
to go in
God.
front of a mirror,
Yeah.
just like
Oh, yeah.
spitballs at
Totally.
myself
I
all
still
the
do
time.
that.
Yeah,
And I like role play with my phone with ChatGPT
really?
a lot.
No
Yeah.
way. I've
Yeah.
never done that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Even like a hard conversation I have to have with a seller or a client, I'll talk to chat first and practice it. And I'm like, does this sound good? Do I sound empathetic? Like, am I good?
Yeah.
And then it's like, yes, you sound great. And I'm like, yeah. Just gives me the
Just
confidence.
the
Like,
reinsurance from
yeah,
AI.
literally, I'm serious. Like, I'm so serious.
You might be crazy.
It works. If you saw my ChatGPT, you would think I'm crazy.
I already do.
It works.
Okay.
It works.
All right. So wholesaling. What is wholesaling, right? So all that is, and I keep forgetting, like this is the basics. Like I do not want to go too nitty gritty, deep into
Yeah.
detail. Like what is all this stuff? Like I'm just going to strictly lay out which each one of these is real quick. So wholesaling, all it is doing some form of marketing, whether it's door to door, it's cold calling, as we have talked about a little bit. Those are gonna be kind of your two cheapest options,
And
unless
postcards. Make it a
postcards,
little.
direct mail can get a little expensive depending on how you're doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so out of those top three, right, they're all fairly cheap. From there, you're going to go reach out to these homeowners who are hopefully motivated or they're in distress for some whatever reason. It could be
Mhm.
absolutely anything, whether it's an inherited property or financial reasons or divorce or moving out the country for whatever reason. Like you've run into all these different scenarios, right? So all it is then understanding what you need to get this house under contract for in order to sell it to an actual cash buying investor for a margin, right? So with that, I mean, you have to definitely incorporate some other kind of skill sets too. So you're gonna have to learn what negotiations are. You're gonna have to learn to run rehab costs. You're gonna have to learn
Market numbers, market value.
numbers, comparables,
Yeah.
right? Exactly, ARV, everything like that. So also another reason why I feel like wholesaling, even though like I'm definitely not going to be wholesaling my entire life. That is not my goal
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Good way to build capital.
It's a
It's
great,
how a lot of investors start.
definitely,
Yeah.
and it's a great way to build capital. And I think the best reason why that would be my strategy of getting started is because you learn every part of the industry for the most part, other than
Yeah.
like property management and actually going through and doing the rehab
Mhm.
yourself is, and like as if you were doing a fix and flip or a burr or anything like
Yeah.
that, right? But actually understanding just the basics of everything, that's one strategy that you're going to have to go through all of it with.
Yeah.
Right? Because you need to make sure it is a good deal for the next person.
And you're going to get really good at analyzing deals after doing few wholesales.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, I've probably made over 20,000 calls in my life. I've probably walked several thousand properties at this point, and
And you're 24.
I'm
So,
I've only been doing this
yeah.
3 years, like not even 3 years, guys. So
Yeah.
just put in the work, get the repetitions, and eventually you're gonna build up those skills, right?
And just take action. That's the biggest thing that
No,
I'll
it
say all
seriously
day, every
is.
day. Like, stop reading the books, stop asking a million people a million questions and thinking about it too much. Just take action.
Yeah,
Obviously, prepare yourself and don't put yourself in a bad situation, but take
right.
action.
Of course. And also with wholesaling, it's very non-risky, right? So
Hmm.
you're really going to be risking more of your time than money, right? Your capital, because it's very little capital to get in.
As long as you're doing it the right way.
As long as you're doing it the
with
right
the
way.
right forms and
Right. And you are gonna have
contracts.
to put in like a small earnest money deposit. Sometimes I've done as little as $1 on properties.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
that's
I've
crazy.
done as
As an
little as
agent, if I saw that,
oh yeah, you would
I would
never
lose
take
my
it.
mind.
I completely
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
My negotiation tactic for a really low earnest money deposit is like, listen, this money's just going into escrow. The title company just needs some amount of money
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
open escrow and actually do their due diligence on the title, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's not that big of a deal whatsoever. And besides, it's coming back
Hmm.
to me at closing or going back to you at closing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my pitch.
It's a good way to pitch
Sometimes
it,
it
I
works.
guess.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes they're like, no, I want that 1%. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go excessive amounts. They're like, I want 15,000 earnest money deposit. I'm like,
I mean, I've had a $200,000 earnest money deposit before, so it's
are you serious?
yeah.
That is high.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta
That
do
must
to
have been
get
an
the
expensive
the
property.
deal done. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. As a wholesaler, do not ever put $200,000 in
Yeah,
earnest
don't do
money
that. Don't do
deposit.
that.
Do not do that.
I didn't do that. A client did that.
That's
Not
client's
my
choice.
decision.
Client's
So,
choice at the
yeah.
end of the day.
Yeah.
So yes, the lowest risk form of investing, I would say. Also, something that you're going to learn a lot from doing. Next from there, I would probably take it to a fix and flip. And this really all
Mhm.
depends on your goals too. Like if you're just strictly looking to build capital and it's so hard to explain because there's like so many different aspects you can look at this from. You can look at it as like, where do you sit financially? What are your goals?
Mhm.
What are some of your skill sets that you already possess from prior knowledge? Right. So these are all things that you have to take into account when really deciding what your investment strategy is going to be. Like, let's say you're a general contractor, that's your full time job.
Mhm.
Fix and flip is probably going to be the best choice for you
Yeah,
to get
because you already
into.
have that knowledge. So
You already have that knowledge, and all you have to do from there is find the deal and understand what the deal's worth at the end of the day, and then
yeah.
also handle negotiations unless you have like a realtor working for you, right?
Yeah.
So it really just depends on where you sit. Financially, let's say somebody is starting out and they have like $25,000, right? Would you
Mhm.
recommend they spend that money on marketing, or do you think that they should take? Oh, see, it really depends on their goal.
You have
It
to
really depends.
start with your goals,
You
and
have
then
to
you have to
start your
break it
goals.
down from there.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I actually have a really cool, which I guess I could probably like link in the caption or something. I have a really cool spreadsheet
For
that
like
breaks all that down.
goal setting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we can
Helps
definitely
you
add
get
that in
like
there.
really clear about where you want to go.
Yeah. All
So
right. Link down below.
yeah, literally. That's so important because if you don't have a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan, like
Yeah.
you can get lost really quick.
No, you definitely
So,
can. If you're not
yeah.
working in the right direction, then you could be working in any direction that's just not even going towards the path that you want to go down.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, so that'd be you want to explain fix and flip real quick to the audience? Just
Yeah.
like a
Yeah, sure.
basic.
Find a property that needs rehabbed so it's distressed or maybe like hoarding situation. Go clean it out, paint.
What's a couple ways they could find that property? Like who could they get it from?
I've done a few fix and flips, and I feel like the easiest way for a newbie is on market
Okay.
or wholesalers. So reaching out to people like Skyler who
Oh,
wholesale
I
properties,
was gonna say wholesale. for
getting
sure.
getting on the lists so they all have buyers lists. Getting on there, telling them what your buy box looks like. Like, for example, I want to flip a single family property. I want to buy it for less than 150 and I want the ARV to be around 300. Like that info for an agent or even a wholesaler, like when they know that buy box, it's helpful.
It's gonna be extremely hard to find, but they're out there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're out there. They
Yeah.
are. They are.
I was gonna say the MLS I think is definitely gonna be a little bit harder.
Ooh, they go so
So,
fast.
yeah,
You're going to
they go
have
super
competition.
fast, and then you also are getting overbidded tremendously,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing is like you don't want to get so excited and have the adrenaline pumping where you're like,
Don't get too emotional
you're-
about a property.
yes,
Know your numbers, know your top dollar, and even if
do
you
not
get
go above
outbid,
that. Do not
call
go
it a
above
day because I've made that mistake. And yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
is that one you are currently still sitting on?
Mm-mm.
Okay, different one. You can tell me later.
Yeah, sorry about it. But yeah,
Okay.
know your numbers and don't get emotional.
Exactly.
That's huge. Because
So-
I'm an emotional person. And I'm like, oh, I love this property.
Yeah.
I want this property. But at the end of the day, it's a business decision. You're flipping the property. You're selling it to someone else. You want to do a good job. But this is not your forever home. Like,
Right.
so.
I mean, unless it is something you plan on living in.
Yeah, you could.
Still try.
I've had people do that, clients do that, where they go from house to house like every 2 years.
Yeah.
Buy a property, rehab it, move in.
That's another great investment strategy.
Yeah.
Live and flip. Now,
Yeah.
okay, so I could dive into live and flip, but I honestly don't have too much knowledge on that.
I don't really
I mean,
either.
in terms of like there's
I
benefits
know
to doing that
basics, but
as having as your primary residence for a certain period of
tax
time,
tax
tax
purposes.
incentives.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And financing
I'm
incentives.
not a CPA. I'm not going to discuss this on
Yeah, please,
the
please don't listen to us.
well, for
Disclaimer.
investing, listen to us.
Not tax reasons.
No. And then another strategy, obviously, buy and hold, right?
Yep,
So
our favorite.
yeah, absolutely. Who would be ideal for starting off with a buy and hold strategy?
I mean, you have to have money up
Yeah,
front unless you are going to get a seller finance deal. So typically you're going to need 20% down.
right.
So someone with a bit of capital saved up.
Yeah. No, somebody who you feel as though you're definitely because if you're buying a long term, you could buy a turnkey property, right? Something that's already been fully renovated and might have fresh tenants in there.
Hmm.
Some of the skills that you're still going to have to possess is property management. You're going to have to learn how to manage these tenants properly.
Unless you want to get a management company to take care of it for you. You got to
Absolutely.
know
And if
your skill set.
yeah, I was going to say, if you have the money for it too, like if it fits within your budget to, hire on a property manager and you can still profit each month,
Yeah.
sure.
That's something you have to look into. I mean, it's like 6%, 6 to 10%
Yeah,
average
on
here.
average,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely.
But
So,
with buy and hold, you really have to look at properties and analyze, again, long-term goals. I'm huge on that. But
yeah.
cash flow versus equity. Obviously, if you're going to purchase something in the city, most of the time, higher unit count and you're going to have more cash flow.
Mhm.
But it's not going to appreciate as much as something that's going to be like in the suburbs.
Right, a
So,
single family in the suburbs
yep,
is definitely going to
yep.
appreciate more substantially.
But it's not going to cash flow. So,
Hopefully a little bit, but yeah, most likely not.
yeah.
Right. Now, I will say that if you are a beginner and maybe you don't have that much money saved up, I think the absolute number one and probably will forever be the number one strategy of getting started in long term hold is house hacking. Because you're still able to use the benefits of being like a first time home buyer or
Yep.
owning a
The
primary residence.
3.5% down FHA.
3% conventional now
Yeah.
on
For
multifamilies.
first time home buyers or for anyone?
Anyone.
Really?
Hmm.
Dang, that's awesome.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I was actually just doing some research on that the other day.
That's cool.
So I was like, why would anyone use FHA now? It's
Yeah.
like if you have the same,
Credit score.
yeah,
Yeah.
because FHA they'll go
And
as low as like
debt to income ratio too, because they go a lot higher.
okay,
They go to 49%. Don't quote me on that. I think.
wow,
Yeah, they go really high.
I would not trust somebody with no. Anyways, but yeah, I think that house hacking easily the best way to start acquiring the skills necessary for building a rental portfolio. Not only are you actually doing due diligence on trying to find a good deal, right? Because obviously you don't want to overpay for your first
Yeah.
property. You make money when you buy. Like that's you're gonna hear it 1,000 times from me and everybody else. But finding the deal and buying it at the right price is where you make your money. Number two is you're going to learn how to manage these tenants. Well, you're going to learn how to find tenants first.
Yeah.
If you're doing a house hack that, it's like empty or maybe you need to get some vacancies filled, something like that, right? So you're going to have to learn how to vet tenants, learn how to really. I've actually made an entire episode on how to find proper tenants. Y'all can go watch that. So I'm not going to dive into all of it right now.
So important.
It is.
So important. Good tenants are like so valuable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then you're also going to learn, like property maintenance, like understanding what's something that, might break fairly often. It could
And
be,
if this is your first house and you're house hacking your first house, you're going to learn a lot,
you
especially
are.
living there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Get hands on with it too.
yeah. And if it's your first house ever, like you're going to learn how to go through and pay these bills like UGI, PPL. Well, I guess those are probably just our companies,
Yeah.
right? You guys might have a different electric and water and gas companies, but that's what we use around here. So it really just depends on what your goals are, though. Like if you're just looking to strictly build capital, I'm not going to say that's technically investing because you're not throwing that capital into any appreciating asset. But at the same time, I mean, it's still something that is a great thing to do, I guess, to have like a safety net, right? Like I can understand where if you just want to have a lump sum of money on the side just for like a reserve purpose, and that's where you might go through and you might learn how to wholesale. You might do like 5 to 10 deals, just build up a huge
Build
safety
up
reserve.
some capital. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
Right.
I think it might be helpful for like viewers to hear what exactly your buy box looks like and what my buy box looks like.
Feel free.
I mean, okay, so for me personally, I mean, I don't want to build a crazy portfolio. I have said before I want my 30 by 30. And with that, I don't wanna do any, like, big commercial deals. I want to stick to under 4 units, and then single family. And all I say that, I have a city property now, but I do wanna stick to either, like, West Shore or, like, CD school districts. Those are local, but, like, suburbs,
Yeah.
um, because my long-term play is gonna be equity and cash flow.
Mhm.
I'm not really gonna live off of the $300 a month cash flow of
Right.
these units.
I
It's
mean,
equity and, like, building myself a retirement is my goal.
definitely, and tax
So,
incentives
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you're still a full-time agent, right?
Yeah.
So that's gonna be
Yeah.
more of your active income, and these are just appreciating assets that you're gonna hold for a long
Exactly.
period of time. So
Exactly.
it's a very safe,
Yeah.
smart, easy play,
Yeah.
right? My buy box, completely different.
I
So
know, I figured. That's why I thought it would be good to hear 2 different.
yeah, I've never really truly thought about my buy box. I mean, if I find a deal, I'm gonna take that deal down. That's just kind of how it is. Whether it's a single family in the city, a single family in the richest neighborhood around here, a 20 unit complex. Like I know this is very broad, and you guys probably aren't gonna get a very good answer from me.
Yeah.
But genuinely, if I'm looking to do a long term buy and hold, I'm looking for a perfect burr. What a burr is a buy, a rehab, a refinance, rent, and repeat.
Isn't it the other way
I
around?
totally said that in the incorrect order. Buy, renovate,
Rent,
rent,
refinance,
refinance,
repeat.
repeat.
I
Yeah,
got you.
yeah. Rent, refi.
Yes,
Backwards. Sorry,
yes.
guys.
Same
Um,
thing, same thing. You could probably do it either way.
I've done it both ways
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, completely. So my goal at the end of any burr is to have $0 into these deals.
Mhm.
So that's why my buy box I feel is so open because I'm just looking for anything that is at a extremely discounted rate.
Okay.
Where if it is a single family, like I'll take it down. I think I look at a single family property as a lot more risky than a multifamily. When oh
Really?
my god, yeah, because if that single family goes vacant,
You're not making, yeah.
fully,
You're fully on the hook for the
fully dead.
mortgage. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
There's
there's
no other units to help balance that out. Yeah.
exactly
I get
where
that.
if the more doors you have, if you have one
The
vacancy,
less stressful it
it's not
is
gonna kill
to
you.
have some.
It's
Yeah.
like okay, sure, I might
I get
lose
that.
$200 of cash flow that month, but the other 10 units in that complex are going to make up for it and still, make me hopefully like $2,000 or something that month, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in terms of appreciation, I completely agree. Where if you are in a more B class, A class area and it is a single family house, it's definitely going to appreciate more than those
Mhm.
city homes with like 10, 20 units, right?
Yep.
But
And
this is
it's
just
in
my buy
my
box.
opinion, it's less of a headache.
Oh
But
my
that's
God, yeah.
just
No, I
yeah.
can, no, completely, fully understand.
Yeah.
I'm here for the headaches just because I want that massive portfolio.
I'm not, but that's
Uh,
okay. Everyone has different
yeah,
different
no,
goals
definitely.
at the end of the day. So,
It's true. So it really is like this kind of just goes to show like it just really depends on what your goals are, what you want them to be, what you're really just striving for, and where you want to be financially, right?
yeah.
So you could take like a safer route and go with like Maddie's type of investing. You can kind of take a riskier
Or you can
route
be
and go.
crazy like Skyler over here.
And us, I just have big ambitions, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't
No,
know.
no, you got it. You got it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Um,
There's no right or wrong way.
there's not.
Seriously, it's just whatever works for you.
If you're doing anything to set yourself up properly for the future, then you're doing the right thing,
Mhm.
right? Just don't buy stupid. So don't buy over market value.
Don't buy emotional.
Don't buy emotional. Don't have sentimental attachment.
Yep.
Which, admittedly, dude, it's hard
It
not.
is.
It's hard not to because you look at a house, right, and like that's somewhere, like just like your home, for example. Like you grew up in a house. You form whether you like admit it or like to or not even think about it. You're gonna grow some kind of like emotional attachment to
Yeah,
that
there's
house.
memories
Like when
there.
you walk
There's
in, you're like, home,
yeah.
right? Like it's
Yeah.
like a feeling you get, right? Where when you're doing these investment properties, you're going to be spending a lot of time in these houses for the most part in the beginning. Like if you're doing some of your own work, taking, I don't know, anything like photography is coming through, appraisals coming through,
Mhm.
inspections coming through. Like you're gonna be in this house a lot, right?
Yeah.
Just daily checkups on the contractors, if it's a rehab property, like all kinds of situations. And eventually you're gonna build this house the way that you want it to be, right? Because it's your house, it's your design. And then that's when like I feel like the sentimental attachment starts to grow. And you're like, okay, now
Herein lies the problem that I have with sellers all the time. They're like, "My house is worth $1,000,000." I'm like, "Well, no. Here's 5 comps that show it's for 700." So it's hard.
yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna lie. Just today, actually, funny you brought that up. So I was told that my portfolio we should list at 1.1, right? for a couple of the properties in the portfolio, not all of them.
Okay.
And I was like, no. I was like, 1.2. I'm not taking anything less. They're like, dude, you're still gonna make $400,000 if we sell at 1.1. I'm like, I don't care. I was like, I know what my portfolio is worth.
You. You're one of the problem
I
sellers.
know. I am.
I mean,
But
but
as
you
a
know your stuff. You're running your
yeah, I
numbers.
was like,
You're
as an
running
investor though,
comps.
like I know where these should be.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can look at comparables that have sold recently, and I know what I'm looking at, right?
Just might take a little longer to get that number,
But I'm
but
okay with it because I'm not the one that wanted to sell in the
yeah.
beginning. So
Yeah.
sorry, Steph. I haven't told her that yet. But yeah, so I mean,
She'll find out, I guess, now.
yeah, if she watches it still, I don't even know. Actually, she did watch the last one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
cool.
surprised by that. Let's see what else.
What were we on? We were on flipping, and then we got
Flipping, and
sidetracked.
then I went to buy and hold. Talked
Yeah.
about how house hacking is kind of just the best entryway into owning rental properties, just because you can still have all those benefits like we
Mhm.
talked about. Some of the biggest misconceptions.
Like we said, needing a ton of cash. I
Yeah.
know my first one, I put 20,000 down, which seems like a lot of money, and like yes, it was.
Yeah.
But I've done other deals, like for example, the mobile homes, where I've done a whole flip with like 8 grand out of pocket, and then went and flipped that money and made like 25 profit. So it's like you can get in with
You can.
little capital. You've done some crazy deals with no money.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
absolutely zero,
Yeah.
which is, that all comes down to connections and networking. It's
Mhm.
just building the right relationships with the right people.
Yep.
Hopefully, people that have money.
Yeah.
Right. So, if you're able to, at first, as a new investor, do not have your expectations set to that point, though, where you're like, okay, I know I have a great deal. Fuck, you might. You might have a fantastic deal. But to go to a brand new private money lender and this being your first deal, you're not going to get the most favorable terms just
Yep.
because they haven't
You have to
built
build that relationship,
they haven't
and they have
built
to
that trust
trust
with
you
you.
and know you know what you're doing.
Exactly. Once you get to deal 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're using the same private money lender,
They're like, all right, have the money.
and they see that
They're
you're
like,
being successful. I wish it was that easy. You still got to create like a whole
you have a good relationship,
document.
though. Yeah.
We'd have a good relationship. So definitely helpful. I mean, there's so many properties. So I guess like the craziest one in my opinion, my biggest upfront cost I've ever had was I bought the property for 355,
Okay.
6 unit, and I borrowed
Harrisburg?
I borrowed like 50K for rehab, and then they also paid all closing costs. So I'm all in for 425, and I think out of my pocket, I'm lying. I got paid at the closing. I made 4 grand at closing on this property.
Shut up.
I swear to God, because I think they over budgeted for the closing costs, and it just went back to
The
me.
title company just
Yeah,
credit it.
yeah, totally. So
That's wild.
once you get to that point, right,
That's wild.
and you have the experience necessary, and you've done these deals in the past,
Yeah.
you can get into these bigger projects with still needing zero capital.
Yeah.
Right? So something to think about, but definitely like starting off,
Would you say those types of deals come with more risk?
not if you're buying it right.
Okay.
Yeah, it really just as long as you're like in that buy box.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
that, do not go outside of it because as soon as you take on risk, that's when shit can just hit the fan. Especially if you're like very leveraged to the max
Yeah.
and you don't have any kind of reserve saved up,
Mm-hmm.
your whole portfolio could be at risk, right?
Yeah.
Just because you made one bad decision because you got emotionally connected or whatever the case may be, and you decided to go outside of your buy
Yeah.
box.
Let's talk about reserves. What do you recommend? I always say 6 months.
Yeah.
That's my okay.
I say the same thing.
All right.
But what is 6 months to you versus 6 months to somebody else?
What do you mean?
So like
numbers wise?
yeah. So it's like I guess determining what 6 months reserves is for you. Like
Yeah.
how would somebody go about figuring out what that is for them?
And do you calculate personal into that, or do you keep it separate when you're
If you're strictly you have your real estate business, but then you also have your personal life, and your personal life is being covered by some other form of active income stream, then I would keep it
keep it
strictly to
separate?
the
That
business.
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, basically like just calculate all of your overhead expenses for the next 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
realize what that number is, and probably go like a couple thousand over just in case anything happens.
Gotta be safe. Yeah.
Right. Be safe.
Like
Um,
let's say tomorrow you lose all your tenants. you would be able to keep your business afloat for 6 months. That's the goal.
Yeah.
He obviously started with wholesaling. I'm an agent. 2 different options. They're both, like, lower barrier to entry. Obviously, you need a license to be a realtor. Um, I'm blanking on how many hours it is. You probably know.
75.
75 hours coursework for Pennsylvania. And it's maybe $1,000 to do your classes, but actually with Keller Williams, they cover it for you, so free.
Free.
So just time. You're trading your time to get your license. And then from there, you're doing a lot of similar things that you would do wholesaling. I took that route because I wanted to help like traditional conventional buyers. Um,
That's very
yeah,
fair.
yeah.
So for me personally, I mean, I think that being an agent is definitely something that I should have done in the very beginning. Like at least have that license. So when I get to this point, like not that any of us knew these regulations would be coming,
Mm-hmm.
especially like several years ago. It's kind of an all new concept. But still better safe than sorry. And if you don't live in Pennsylvania or South Carolina or what's the other? Michigan? No. There's
I
another
have no clue.
there's
Don't
another
look at
state that
me.
has regulations against wholesaling, and it's, like,
Yeah,
virtually impossible to do without a license now. But if you live in any of those other states and you are a wholesaler, I would recommend getting
get
that license
licensed.
because they're just gonna start branching
Yeah,
these regulations out to the other states as well, right?
it's really not hard. It's just a lot of reading and some tests. And
It's just very
yeah,
time
time consuming.
consuming.
Yeah. How far are you in so far?
Like 14 hours,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time consuming, but like all the things you get access to in the world that being licensed opens you up to, like even joining a brokerage, all these connections
Yeah. Having
open.
access to
Yeah.
MLS
Yeah.
even.
The MLS, like you find deals firsthand. And you get to talk to agents in your office about deals that are off market. And that'll make a lot of doors open for you too.
Yeah.
So,
And like even us normal people, right? We don't have access to actually everything that's on the MLS. Not everything that's there is goes on to Zillow, right?
yeah,
And I didn't know that. I thought Zillow was just like, a copy and paste of the MLS.
not
Completely
quite.
not.
It's
No.
also just like sometimes so wrong.
Yeah.
Zillow like
'Cause
copies over, like it says 3,000 square feet, and like the agent put it in to the MLS as like 1,800 square feet, and we're like, it just doesn't calculate right.
the
So
same thing as like a Zestimate too.
yeah, oh, those are
Does the MLS give you like
bad.
a estimated
No,
value?
no,
No, I
you
didn't
have to
think
run
so.
comps,
Yeah, okay.
but you can pull like click on 3 listings, and the MLS will put it together and do all the numbers for you. So it's not like I'm
Oh,
sitting there with a calculator and
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, cool. But yeah, by the way, if you're a seller and you're basing the value of your house off of Zestimate, don't
stop.
stop because that's annoying. It's so annoying, dude.
Well, the Zestimate says
But like, yeah, if your house is maybe in perfect condition in the next 5 years, that's what it will be worth. Sometimes, or
yeah,
sometimes it's undervalued. You never
yeah,
know, right? Now, as a wholesaler, it's very similar to the process of being an agent, where you're just trading your time for money, right?
yeah.
So
Agents are better. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Again, it goes back to your
it's just
goals.
completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, not completely different, but like different. Anyways, I'm trying to think. Like, if I were to restart all over again, would I start with
What would you start with? Yeah.
I would go back. I would be an agent.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's why I brought it up. I was like,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Now with like
the regulations, though, in Pennsylvania are a big reason for that,
even
right?
no,
Really?
take away the
Okay.
regulations, right? You gain everything you need to know as a wholesaler by also being an agent, I
Yeah.
believe, because
Yeah.
you are doing the same kind of ideas. The only thing that you're not really doing as an agent, maybe sort of, you can inform me, but I guess like rehab estimates is kind of like
Yeah. That would be
that's
outside of our scope.
right,
But
and that's like the one
normally we bring in other people for that.
right, like that's the one thing as a wholesaler, which you're capable of bringing other people in. Like if you have a
Yeah.
contractor that you're friends with and they are able to give you a quote and you didn't have to pay them, any money to
Your
come in and do it.
contractor's awesome.
Yeah, I love my
I freaking
contractor.
love him.
Yeah, he's the best. Um,
It's all about surrounding yourself with the right people.
it
So,
is, dude. He's fucking amazing.
relationships.
Yeah,
He's so cool.
he is. So, but yeah, I would say like if I were to start over, I would probably start off with being an agent, just
All
because
right.
I feel like you build trust with clients better when you're able to tell them like, no, I am a
I'm
licensed.
licensed. Yeah. Well,
And
you have to hold yourself to a higher standard too.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So crazy. I never really thought about that.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I completely agree. And wholesaling is like it's not for the weak, dude. It takes time
Yeah.
and it's hard and you're doing nothing but networking
Mhm.
24/7. You're just trying to build up an entire buyers list of, the cash buyers in your area, trying to get to know them, understand what each one of their buy box is,
Yeah.
understanding, well, that goes under buy box, but like areas and shit like that. And then also, all this cold outbound, um, cold calling, knocking doors, direct mail, all the things that we kind of talked about to easily get into, or drive for dollars. I don't know
Yeah.
if I mentioned that. Do that one though. Yeah, I definitely did.
Yeah.
I totally did because I talked about gas money. Anyways,
And these are all similar things you do as an agent too. So it really goes hand in hand,
it
just
does.
slightly different.
Yeah, I just feel like it's easier though for the client to trust you when you do have the
Yeah.
license,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to disclose
And you
everything.
also have that brokerage to back you and E&O assurance in
Yeah.
case anything goes wrong, which I don't know what that looks like for wholesaling. Um, you know, okay.
No idea.
Oh, God. So, yeah.
What is that?
Errors and omissions insurance.
Okay.
We'll talk about this
I
later.
started to hear about this on
We'll
my
talk about
on
this
the
later.
training.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything
It's
like that.
huge.
Okay.
Yeah. The brokerage will come in and save you and basically cover you in a lawsuit if something were to happen. Yeah.
Nice. As a wholesaler, you're on your own, dude.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like,
You fuck up, that's on you.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So a little bit more risky than being an agent,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are like definitely some of the main strategies, right? So agents not really investing, wholesaling's not really investing, but two great ways to start to learn about real estate. Just to recap everything we talked about. Two great ways to start learning about real estate to get in for a very cheap amount of money. Next thing, fix and flip. Fix and flip, I would say definitely do it if you already have some knowledge of real estate, if you already have knowledge on construction, if you have money saved up already, um, which you don't necessarily need in case you do have a good relationship with a private money lender. But if you're just getting into it, you most likely don't, right? So have some money saved up on the side just in case. You could also go over your repair budgets. You could closing costs might be more than you're expecting, and it might not sell for quite as high as you were hoping.
Or it could take 6 months longer than you were expecting because you,
Have longer
yeah.
holding costs, anything like that could happen. So have some reserves put in place just in case any of that. Last thing is buy and hold. There's so many different strategies to buy and hold. Rent by the room, short term, mid-term, long term. Um, yeah, it's about house hack. House hack, I would recommend for everybody. I'm in the process of doing mine right now,
Mm-hmm.
which to be honest,
First deal, easiest way to get into real estate, I feel like.
yeah, I would completely agree. And you can find these deals on the MLS too,
Mm-hmm.
where it's not, you don't have to go through and do all that lead generation just
Yeah.
to get a decent house hack, right?
Yeah.
So if you're interested in building wealth through long-term holds, house hack is the easiest way for sure to get in. If you already have some capital saved up and you're truly looking just for a long-term investment and you don't care about making like, a boatload of money every single month through like these more time-consuming tactics, then a long-term hold or a long-term rental is
Mm-hmm.
probably going to be your best friend just because it comes with tax incentives, it comes with appreciation, it comes with hopefully some cash flow, mortgage pay downs,
Equity,
yeah,
appreciation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's just really determining, kind of like what we said, like what are your goals?
Yeah.
You can do what she said, like 5 year, 10 year, 15, 20 year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good way to go about it. I know it's sometimes hard for people to look out that far into the future and really see like what they want for their lives.
Yeah. You can reevaluate as long as you have some sort of picture, though. It keeps you
Yeah,
moving towards a goal.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll include that thing in the
Yeah.
link
Yeah,
down
I
below
will.
to help you
I
guys
will.
out with that. Which I probably need to look at too, to be
Yeah, you do.
honest. Okay, cool. And yeah, I mean, just take action, dude. Like
Seriously.
that's all it is.
Take action.
Because you're gonna sit there.
It's scary. Your first deal is going to be really scary. Your first 10 deals are probably going to be
You're not gonna
scary.
know what the fuck you're doing.
And you're going to learn a lot with every deal, and you're probably going to mess up and you're going to lose money.
You're gonna learn how to talk to sellers. You're gonna learn how to talk to buyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't a get rich quick scheme. It's a long term.
It's not.
A lot of people think it
I hate
is.
that to be like a slap in the face for a lot of people, but it's very
Yeah.
true because a lot of people they
It's
hear
a long term game,
yeah,
especially with the buy and hold. Like you can make quick money wholesaling and you can make quick money with a flip, but
it's true.
yeah.
Yeah. I remember just a little story time. My easiest wholesale deal I ever did. 5 minutes made $10,000. Crazy, right? So I was sitting at the computer. One of my VAs, they got this lead, and he was like, "Listen, I want this amount of money." Very poor area of Harrisburg City. It's like, okay, this is not a good street. I know this street. this house. Granted, it's a corner unit, you know, maybe adds a little bit more value. Tenants in there refusing to leave.
Mm.
Houses ran down, and the guy is firm on this price. I'm like, that price
Yikes.
seems, you know, a little bit high. But I was like, before I even lock it up, let me just see what you know. I call up my
Run
VIP,
some
my
comps.
VA, not even
VIP?
yeah, VIP. But I didn't even run comps. I was like,
Oh,
right. So I wanted to see if my one buyer was in the area. So I called him up. I was like, yo, I was like, just got this lead. It's over at this address.
no comps.
Spin by it. He wants this much. Let me know how much you'll pay. Like full transparency, right? So I was like, there's no need for me to
There you
waste
go.
my time running numbers on this. Like he's gonna
Yeah.
tell me if he wants it or not. And he's the only guy that I know that buys in this area.
Yeah.
He comes back. He was like, yeah, I'll buy it for 5,000 more. I was like,
Shoot.
yeah. It was there 5 or 10,000. I forget.
There you go.
Yeah,
5 minutes
that's
for,
it. Just
for
like
5
that.
or 10 grand. We don't know.
Right, but that's already
That's so
once you
cool.
have some connections in real estate too. So like
Yep.
I already had that buyer, and I mean I had a VA that went ahead and made those calls, so I didn't have to do it. But that would be the time consuming part in
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's possible, and it's not easy, but it's
Take
doable.
action, consistency,
Yeah,
and relationships, I feel like are the,
yeah. Especially and like if you are young, like dude, start that rental portfolio.
yeah.
Absolutely. Like
We don't have a lot of risk. I mean, I'm 20, he's 24.
Yeah.
We live at home. So
Hopefully not
there's
much
no,
longer.
there's no better time than now to start. So,
It's true. And think about it. I mean, if you're getting like these long-term hold properties, they're all in 30-year mortgages. You'll be like, if you're like around our age, you'll be before retirement age, and you'll have some fully paid off assets that are making you
cash
money every
flowing.
month
Yeah.
and have probably appreciated so much in 30 years. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So take advantage while you're young. Like, don't wait to take action and just get to it. Anything else?
I think that's it.
I think I honestly covered everything. Like, I know it was very surface level for
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of investing.
We just
but
wanted to go back to the basics.
back to the basics.
Yeah.
So
Because I would have loved to watch something like this like 4 years ago.
yeah, it really just like lays out all the
Outline
different
everything.
options.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys for tuning in once again, and we will catch you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.